friends, welcome to the Inspired Knitting Podcast. I'm your host Bobby and I am coming to you from southern New Brunswick, Canada. Today is Sunday, November the 12th, 2023. Welcome. This is a podcast where I share my knitting adventures with you, and there's crocheting and spinning and lots of fibery fun. So if that's your kind of thing, then maybe this is a podcast for you. So yeah, I'm gonna first start off by welcoming any new viewers. I know that there's been several new ones, so welcome to my chaos. And to my returning viewers, thank you for coming back and joining me and letting me share my knitting with you. Knitting is one of my biggest joys in life. It's a form of therapy for me, as well as knitting is my everything. And yeah, I love sharing it all with you. The knitting community is such a beautiful one. And yeah, I want to say I appreciate y'all for coming back all the time. So thank you. So yeah, before I start the podcast, I always, whoops, that was my cat Rami. She just walked under the tripod. So yeah, okay, 1 second. Description box below, I always mention it just in case you're new. I always put direct links to anything that I talk about and share, so I link you directly to the pattern makers rather than linking you directly to my Ravelry page, which doesn't really have that much. I mostly just create a project page and put a picture for my own personal portfolio to look back upon. Doesn't have much info in it. So yeah, with all of that administration out of the way, how have you guys been doing? Drop me a line and let me know. It's been kind of quiet 2 weeks here. We've still been having a remarkable sunny and warm fall, although we did have our first snowfall. I think it was right after the last podcast, actually, and we actually had some snow last night as well. I woke up this morning and there was like not a lot. The sun has come out nice and warm here, so from what I can see, it's pretty much all melted now, which I'm not going to complain. But it does look pretty on the pine trees, I will admit that. So it is pretty to look out at, but other than that, I don't like it. It's cold. I don't like the cold. So today I have my coffee in my pumpkin mug, because technically it's still fall. This is a mug that I picked up at Chapters or Indigo. And yeah, I just got a basic coffee in here. I almost pulled out a Christmas mug. Well, I did pull out a Christmas mug. As you can see, I do have a much prettier background to share with you guys this time. I end up getting my friend to put up a pegboard. So I have some of my favorite skeins on it, and I'll try to do this. I'll just tilt it up like that. You can see here, I got some of my favorite skeins, and I got some twinkly lights. So they're just ones that I think that I would like to knit with on next. So here I have Rose Hill yarn. It's a Christmas one that I recently picked up. The Rose Hill one and this one here, the Nicole C. Mendez, they're actually the ones I mentioned a couple episodes back. I picked up from Twin Stitches Designs shop. She was doing a D-stash, so I picked those two up. This one I'm still thinking of doing because technically it's still fall. It's like a self-striping, and then of course the Christmas colorways are going to start coming out, but yeah, they're just some that I pulled out that I think I would like to knit on next. So yeah, at least you guys have something prettier to look at. Back here, I got my beautiful bag that my bestie Ajel made me with Inspired Knitting Podcast. And then over here, my, oh goodness, I forgot the name of the shawl. It's a Stephen West shawl. jig shawl. Yeah, there's that one. So that one is a very interesting one. It took me a while to do. It's a fairly huge shawl, but it uses like 7 skeins of fingering, and you hold fingering double, and you would marl them, and I think there's like 16 sections in the shawl. It's very interesting, and it was a lot of fun to do. It's just that it was huge. So, I like them. So it's like a schlanket. So I have that hung up there as well. So all the pretty things. So yeah, grab your beverage of choice. I'm going to take a quick sip. This is actually my 3rd coffee today. Yeah. I will start off with what I'm wearing, because I'm actually wearing a knitted item. This is the Katie Goes Loopy shawl by Cozy Up Knits, and I knit this. It uses 2 skeins of fingering weight, so we got some pretty garter here, and then we have this beautiful section of loop stitches, and oh my gosh, you guys, I absolutely adore the shawl. I have been wearing this shawl the most. So as you see here, the loop stitch is up here as well. So you do it in the, I did mine in the darker color up here. And then once you get down to this section down here, you would switch the 2 and do vice versa. It was such a fun shawl. I loved it. 2 skeins of fingering weight. It's a perfect shawl. It is asymmetrical. And for this time of year, it is perfect. It's cold. To me, it's cold, but it's just the perfect weight shawl. And then I got a pretty shawl cuff here that I had picked up at the Northern Pearl in Timmins, Ontario as well. I got that one on there. So yeah, it is perfect for this time of year. So I got that one on today. So, okay, I guess I will start with finished objects first. I have 2 finished objects, and then I have some works in progress. One of them is crochet, and I have a little bit of stash enhancement. So let's get on with it. Grab your knitting, grab your beverage of choice, and we'll get started. So the first thing that I have to share with you guys is a pair of slippers. I had a request, whoops, sorry for the clanging. I had a request for some slippers. So I will put the name of the pattern across here. This is a Mary Maxim pattern. It is knitted, and it uses a chunky weight yarn. So disclaimer, they are a bit dirty. I already gifted them, and I took them back quickly to show them off, because I took a picture, and I will probably insert the picture as well in their new form, but I wanted to bring them on here to show as well. So we'll hold them like this so you can't see the bottoms. But this is actually a Mary Maxim pattern. So I modified it slightly. So it starts off, it's one of those patterns that you knit flat, and then you would seam down the back and across the foot. So I follow the pattern. It has some garter ridges here for the foot, and then it's got like increases in the middle, and then you would get up to the cuff here, and I'm gonna say maybe it had that much of a cuff, and then you bind off, and then you would seam it. So I modified it slightly. I ended up doing the first one. I just knit the ribbing. I had, I think it was a 100-gram ball of some D-stash yarn that we had picked up. A friend had gifted us. So it was some Fentex chunky, so it's 100% acrylic yarn. And I don't know the yardage of the ball. I think I did save the tag, but it is on my Ravelry. But I pretty much just knit until the ball ran out almost. So roughly I did 60 rows of a 2x2 rib to make them super long, so she can wear them like, she wears them like this to keep her legs warm. But if she wanted to wear them in more of a slipper form, she can also fold them down. So that was my only modification. I did like a 2x2 ribbing for 60 rows. I ended up knitting the whole thing flat and then seaming it down. That was way too much work. I do not like seaming at all. So when I went to do the second one, I ended up just, I got to the part of the cuff and I just joined my ribbing in the round, and then I knit it magic loop, and then I just came back down here, rejoined some yarn, and then I seamed the booty, the slipper together, because that is way too much seaming for me. But it is a pretty decent pattern. It's easy to follow. It's just plain knit purl increase, nothing too fancy. I think the pattern was maybe $3 Canadian, something like that. And when you buy it from Mary Maxim's website, it comes as a digital download, so it gets sent right to your email. So not a bad pattern at all. It is a chunky weight, and yeah, I put them on before I gifted them, and they do seem pretty decent, so I might actually knit myself a pair. And yeah, you could see they're loved, which is good. So pretty decent. I'm not a big slipper person. I prefer to knit like thicker socks and wear that instead, but hey, they're pretty cool. So if slippers are your thing, maybe that's a pattern for you. Okay, so that was one finished object. The second pair I am super excited about. I cannot wait to get a picture of these so I can wear them. I finished my Slouchy socks by Summerly Knits. This is the basic sock pattern in the collection. So there is 3 patterns in the collection. There's the basic, which is just, you know, a good chunk of ribbing, and then plain vanilla, and it's got a slip stitch heel flap and gusset. Then there is a cabled version. They're all Slouchy socks. There's 3 of them. There's vanilla, there's cabled, and then there's a stripy version as well. So I chose to do the vanilla version. I picked up the skein of the Northern Pearl. This is in her Toxic Fizz colorway. And I talked about this before. I just love how it did the striping. And now that the whole sock is knit up, I love how you got these thicker stripes, and then the foot, it did like a micro stripe. I think that is like so cool. And it did the same on both socks. That is like so cool. I love it. And my favorite thing about it is the black speckles. Like, that is just amazing. I love it. Love. So they are done. I followed exactly to pattern. I did the smallest size. I think there's 3 sizes in the pattern. I did the smallest on a 2mm magic loop. And modifications, I think I did the leg 1 inch shorter. I did not do the extra inch on it. I just got tired of it. It's super pretty, but I have short stubby, these are for me, I have short stubby legs, so it's not gonna make much of a difference. I think they're gonna fit beautifully, so that's my excuse. I still have lots of yarn left. It was 100-gram skein. What I have left, I easily have, I'm gonna say at least 15 grams at least. So I could have easily gotten these Slouchy socks out of it, but I was just done knitting it, that's all. It's a beautiful colorway. It has nothing to do with that. It's just that I was just done. So I think I did the leg like an inch shorter than what the pattern called for. But they're perfect. I love them. Slouchy socks, Summerly Knits. Do check it out. She has wonderful pattern collections. I love her stuff. So those are all done. And that's it for finished objects, unfortunately. I do have a hoe though. So I will go on into works in progress here. So this one is still being housed in my little Halloween sock sack. even though Halloween is long over, but it doesn't matter. It still brings me joy. So I'm just gonna grab a sock blocker here quickly and put it on. So the next pair, I think I just had the cuff casted on the last time we talked. So I'll show you the tag first. So I had picked up a skein of Polka Dot Creek, and this is her self-striping sock set, May 2022, in the Lavender Lemonade colorway. And it comes with one 20-gram mini skein and then a 50-gram. This is on her 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon base. And I got sock 1 done. Look at that, guys. Isn't that awesome? I love this colorway. She has a variegated version of Lavender Lemonade, which I had like a 10-gram mini skein of, and I absolutely adored. So I definitely had to grab the self-striping, and I was kind of hoarding it, but I'm glad I knit it up. It's beautiful. So this is the 20-gram mini skein that come with it. It's a beautiful like fuchsia colorway, and then this is your self-striping. So pretty basic. I didn't follow a pattern for this one. I just cast it on 64 stitches, did a 2x2 rib, and then once I get to the main body of the sock, I do 1 row of plain knitting where I decrease from 64 stitches to 56, just so it fits my my leg better. And then I did a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset, and that's pretty much it. So the whole sock is knit on 56 stitches, but it's the cuff that I do in 64, just because I have, my right foot tends to swell a little bit. So the cuff, if I cast on 56 stitches, it doesn't want to go over my right heel that well. So if I cast on 64, it makes it nice and stretchy, but the rest of the sock is nice and snug fitting the way I like it. So never be afraid to modify your socks. It's once you got the basic construction down for a sock, I think you could modify to anything that you desire, make it fit the way you want. Just remember to write it down so you do the same thing for both socks. Ask me how I know. Anyways, I do have a little neat pattern going here. All I did was knit 3 stitches, and then on the 4th one I slipped per color change. So once I knit through this dark purple and went to start this like electric yellow, all I did was knit 3, slip 1, and it slips that purple stitch down, and then I just plain knit. Once I get to the next color change and I go to start this lavender, I knit 3 stitches, slip a stitch, and that's what I did all the way down. And I love them. So because I have a 50-gram skein, sometimes I run out of yarn on a 50-gram, and I only do shorty socks, and I like to use a contrast for the heel and the toe. So this time, since I have a 20-gram mini skein, I've chosen to do my cuff, heel, and toe in the contrast. That way I can have just a slightly longer leg, because I really wanted the slightly longer leg for this colorway. It's just so beautiful. So there's the first one, all complete. I absolutely love these. They're perfect. Polka Dot Creek, Shelly has amazing colorways, and her Christmas colorways, oh my gosh, you guys have to check them out. They are beautiful, beautiful. So go and check her out. So yeah, here it is. Well, I'll show you the nicer side of it. There it is, all caked up. If you don't like neon colors, maybe you wouldn't like it, but I don't mind them. If it's in a sock, I don't mind them at all. So there is that one. And I'm just gonna grab a quick sip of my coffee. And we will move on to the next thing, which for knitting is pretty much that's pretty much it that I brought for knitting, isn't it? Yes, it is. I have knitted quite a bit. I did do a little bit of work on my Ridgeback toque, or Ridgeback beanie, I think it's called, by Jenny Otto. I think I showed the brim. I casted on the brim last week. It is a chunky worsted weight hat with some very unique stitches on it. I really, really love it. I did like 2 repeats of the texture, so there's not that much on it. So I didn't bother bringing it. Maybe I should have as a filler, but I didn't bring it. Hopefully next podcast. The reason why is because this next thing that I'm going to share with you guys has taken over the last at least week and a half before my wrist really started to yell at me. And that project that I am speaking of would be my Autumn Coastline blanket, which is by Mallory Krall. And this was, I've talked about it a lot actually the last couple podcasts. It is a chunky weight blanket, and it was actually a collaborative knit along with the Creative Knitter, and it went for the month of October, and I followed it pretty good. On week 4 you should have been putting your border on, and I finished up my sunburst at that time, and I still haven't finished, guys. My wrist just, it wasn't having it. So if you've watched, you're not really gonna see anything too exciting. It's pretty much the same. Only difference is I've got the border started. So if you are new and you're not sure, this is the Autumn Coastline blanket. It is a chunky weight blanket. I'm kind of going between, no, it's a super bulky weight. The pattern used Lion Brand wool ease, but you could also do chunky. You could hold worsted, double, triple. You could do whatever you want. But regardless, I used a mix of both. So I have Burnett Chunky here in this gray sunburst, and then I also have some wool ease as well in the blanket. And I've put them together so far, and I don't see much of a difference. They all seem to be the same size, and it seems to be working out just fine. So yeah, I did the sunbursts, which they turn into, once you get the border on, they are like hexagons. So I have done the sunbursts first. There's 30 of them all together, and I think the pattern ended up using five different colors. I'm doing more of like a scrappy version of the blanket, so I think I have like 7 colors all together. However, they kind of all work together, or so I'm told. They sort of work together. I'm not great with colors, and I tend to overthink them. But I chose black as my border. I kind of wanted the colors to pop out. And to be quite honest, I'm not a huge fan of white blankets or white anything, because coffee, dirt, yeah, it like attracts, and yeah, not a good thing. So I chose to go with black, and for my black I just went to Walmart and I picked up some Burnett Chunky. This is 100% acrylic, and it's like a 400 gram ball, 431 yards. So if you look at the pattern, it's set, I think it calls for 600 and some yards. So I don't know if I'm gonna have enough to do the whole border. If not, then I'll just buy like a smaller skein. But I'm doing the crochet as you go method. So I did my sunburst first, and then I am joining them all together with the black. So here is the first row. I got some teal. This one here is a Lion Brand wool ease, which I think is one of my favorite colors in the whole blanket. It's just so pretty. And then my second favorite color, this one here is a Lion Brand recycle. So I think it's like 100% polyester or something like that. This one I held worsted weight triple. This is like Barocco vintage, held triple. This one here is another wool ease, and I absolutely love it. This was used in the sample as well. This is the spice colorway. And just some more worsted scraps that I had that I held triple. And then I have another gray, but this is starting on the second row. So if you were to hold the blanket like this, I would be starting the second row of the blanket. So it is a little bit awkward. It's in its awkward stage right now, and I'm having to figure out how I can easily put this blanket together without putting a lot of tension on this wrist, because it's still bothering me bad. I know I haven't gotten it checked out, but I have to figure that out. So something that I'm thinking about, one, I could just sit on my bed and do it that way, you know, because it is a pretty hefty blanket. It is going to be heavy. Just this one row is pretty hefty. Or something that I'm also contemplating, I'm not going to rip this border out that I've done, but I could do the borders on all the other ones, like do individual borders and then just seam it together. But is that going to be just as clumsy to do? Not sure. I haven't seamed together a blanket in a very long time, but I will figure it out, and hopefully by next podcast I wouldn't mind having it done because I really want this piece to be in our living room right now. That way we can enjoy it, because it is gorgeous. I really love it. It's so pretty. So this has taken the majority of my time, which is fine. It's been really nice to crochet again. It's just that crocheting does tends to put more strain on my wrist, but I think it will be well worth it. So that is Autumn Coastline. I think it's Autumn Coastline Blanket by Mallory Krall. I will link it below. Beautiful pattern, super bulky weight. It's crocheted on an 8mm needle. Our hook, we're not knitting, we're crocheting. It's crocheted on an 8mm crochet hook. I'm using a 10 just because I don't have an 8. And I even went to Michael's and couldn't find an 8mm crochet hook. So I'm not complaining about using a 10 because I don't think I would have wanted to use an 8mm, just because it might have been too dense and even worse on my hands. So I don't know, but that's what I'm doing. So like I said, hopefully I will figure out, I might individually seam them. I'm not 100% sure yet, but it will get done. So that has been the majority of my crafting for the last 2 weeks. Seems like we kind of just flew through this podcast, but that's okay. I wanted to update you guys. So that's it for the content, unfortunately, except for a little bit of stash enhancement. So if that's not really your thing, then thank you for tuning in and watching, and I will hopefully chat with you guys again in 2 weeks and have a little bit more to show for this time. But if you do want to stick around, then I purchased some pretty, and we're back. I am sorry guys, I knocked the tripod. Okay, so I ended up getting a grab bag from the Northern Pearl, and Angel is she set up a couple grab bags. I believe there is 2 left on her Etsy shop. So if I can remember, I will link her Etsy shop below. But she also has, I think I talked about this last time, she also has some tools left, and I believe she has some other yarns as well. So do head on over and check her out. But her grab bags consist of her hand-dyed yarn, which I will just hold up one here. It consists of 3 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and it is on her merino sock base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and it is 420 yards per 115 grams. So there's her tag. And so it's a total surprise, and I am never disappointed. So these are the 3 that I got. How pretty are they? This one, you guys, is amazing. I just love them. So this one here, which I think is super, super beautiful. I love those pops of yellow or golden purple. She included 2 little mini skeins for me. So we love to knit socks, so this will probably be a pair of socks, and these would be contrast. I would think I would do this one maybe, I'm not sure yet. But thank you so much, Angel. I absolutely love them. This is also her hand dyed as well. But I was so surprised and so happy with that purchase. I love all of them. This one is super beautiful. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I don't think this one will be socks because, again, white socks, that's not an idea. And this one here, that one might be socks. I don't know yet. Very beautiful. So I got those from her, and I also got a little Nomi stitch marker, but I'm pretty sure I already took it out, so I don't think I can share that with you. No, I can't. Oh, wait a minute. I can share that with you. There we go. There's a little Nomi. Isn't that pretty? I love it. So this is by Birdie Parker Designs. Absolutely beautiful. So I'll be adding that to my stitch marker collection as well. So that's the extent of my stash enhancement. I have been pretty good. I didn't do any other yarn shopping, did I? I had gone to Michael's and I purchased the spice colorway for my blanket. I said I was stash busting, and I'm pretty proud of myself. I did. That whole blanket consists of stash, except for obviously the border. I didn't have anything in my collection for the border. I wanted a black border. I didn't even have anything white. I do have 2 skeins of woolies in white, a white color, but it wouldn't have been enough. So I did have to purchase yarn for the border, but I needed one more color, and I saw, we had went to Michael's and I saw that spice colorway, and I was like, that's okay. I bought 2 skeins, which does 4 sunbursts in total, I believe it was. So it's not too bad. You get roughly 2 sunbursts per ball. And if your gauge is slightly tighter than mine, you might, no, I think you would get probably 2. If I'm a looser, I would say I'm a looser crocheter, so I think you would get 2. But yeah, it's not too bad at all. So I had no problem doing that. But I've been pretty good. I haven't purchased anything else, so we're doing good. Still working down the stash. So yeah, that's the extent of it, guys. Pretty quiet. I have been reading. I think I spoke about this the last episode. I finished off the Mockingjay series. I've been reading, that I had been reading. And now I'm ready to move on to Songbirds and Snakes. I need more of my coffee. However, I haven't started it yet. I have it with me on my bedside, but I've started reading, and I shared a picture of it because I couldn't remember the name. I started a book on Kindle. It's called Next in Line, which I realized I believe is a series, but I'm not too concerned about reading the series. It is an intriguing book. It's more of a crime novel, which is new to me. I'm trying to open up my genre for books. When I read before, I was totally like romance and harlequin, and now I've shifted away from that. Still, like, I do like a good romance, don't get me wrong, but I'm trying to expand my horizons, and so this one is interesting. It is very intriguing, and it's not too bad, but I am reading that on my phone, on the Kindle app. So that one is pretty interesting. And yeah, I still like to only read one book at a time. Yeah, Crazy Sock Lady podcast was actually talking about this. She gets questions how she reads several books at once, and she describes it as you can watch several shows at once, like series on TV. So for her, it's kind of no different, and I think that's awesome, which is true technically. For me though, when it comes to books, I don't know what it is. I have to read one at a time, it seems. So that's the one I'm reading right now. I'm pretty sure I'm halfway through it now. I haven't been reading every night. Pretty much when I go to bed, my head hits the pillow and I'm out. So, and that's kind of when I'm doing my reading. So I think I'm about halfway through it now. Pretty good book. So yeah. Then after that, I think I will dive into the Songbirds and Snakes, because the movie, I think, is set to release this week, next week, something like that. So I definitely want to read the book first before I watch the movie. So that will be interesting. But other than that, guys, not much interesting in my life. Still lead a pretty quiet life, just the way I like it. So dream knitting. We'll talk for a few minutes, I guess. Dream knitting, I don't really have too much dream knitting right now. I have a lot of works in progress still. They're in a box, so they're hidden away, so it's kind of like I have a clean slate right now. I don't have that much going on, so they're in a box and they're gonna stay there. But I did take one project out. I took out my pressed flower shawl. Can't remember who the designer is for that one. I casted on the shawl in the summertime. It was a knit along with the Pearl and J yarn in Thorium in Kingston, Ontario, and I never finished in time, and yeah, it just kind of sat there. So I've been catching up with some of my favorite podcasts. So I was catching up with Cozy Up Knit Girls and Emily of Salt City Knits, of course Crazy Sock Lady, and it's just mostly Emily, watching Emily's Salt City Knits podcast. She has such beautiful work, and I want shawls, guys. This is the time of year where I just wear my shawls to death, and I have 2 to my knowledge. No, I got 3 that I have going on right now. So I pulled out the pressed flowers because it is a worsted weight one, and it is, I'm gonna say, almost to the finish line. It's pretty darn close. So I pulled that one out to put into the circulation and start working on it. I also have my sweater that I have sitting there that is crying to be worked on, because I also want sweaters as well. So I guess dream knitting, I did buy a couple new patterns this past week. Does that count as stash enhancement? Kind of. I ended up purchasing the new shell pattern by Mallory, who is my go-to designer. Love her. It's based off the Traveler, her Traveler pullover, which is like a hoodie, but it is a cardigan with short sleeves. So if I do it, I will probably do long sleeves on it. I'm not much of a short sleeve person when it comes to my knits, but I did purchase that, and that one is a fingering to sport weight. So I did purchase that, and I also purchased just today Hummingbird Studio Jenny. I'm not sure if you're watching, Jenny, but hi. So she came out with a new toque pattern, and yeah, it's a cabled toque. She does beautiful cabled patterns, and oh my gosh, I've been looking for hat patterns because it's that time of year that I need to wear toques, and this one just called to me. It's a DK weight. I will put the name across here if I remember, but that one definitely automatically hit the cart, and it's $1 off. I can't remember till when, so if this podcast should go up today, which is Sunday, so do head on over to Instagram. I will also put her Instagram handle here. Do go check her out and send her some love. A beautiful, beautiful hat pattern, and she also has some other patterns as well. So if you love cables, Jenny is your girl. So yeah, I will stop babbling now. I am starting to really lose my light. And the sun that we did have peeking through is now disappearing. It is almost 3 in the afternoon. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. And I will hopefully see you guys in 2 weeks. So until then, I hope you guys have a good one. And I hope you have lots of crafty time, or lots of time to do the things that bring you most joy. So until then, guys, I will talk to you soon. Bye.